This boy is being sent on a mission to enter enemy lines, but the catch is the enemy are all girls. He's stuck in a world where men live in one nation, while the women live on the other half of the continent. Currently, the girls actually rule the world and are stronger, where they call themselves foxes, while the guys call themselves the wolves. But since the women are much stronger than the men, the black wolves have crafted a special weapon that makes every crimson fox instantly fall to their knees, due to their body instantly heating up like my hot pockets, which can only be cured by a man's banana tree plantation. Even this girl named Hira, ranked within the top 5 of the strongest girls within the elite Delta Force, finds herself before a man looking like he's ready to go to the butcher's shop to claim his fox meat. Unfortunately for the wannabe ninja, our Hunter x Hunter girl is able to swiftly muster some strength to put the Black Wolf special ops member at the end of her pointy stick. Although her body is unable to control itself due to its wanting impulse of sticking a battering ram deep within her catacombs, she counters her hardship by remembering her homies is waiting for her to avenge them from the gulag. As such, she powers through the secret weapon and takes control of her own functions, including her own farts, allowing her to stand up and fight against the evil men. The Black Ops then receive the wrong clapping they were dreaming of as one by one they disappear into the afterworld. Even Seoli is able to fight against the special perfume as she's going to avenge her best friend no matter what, even if her twin dragons and rice cakes are dripping like a loose faucet. But Seoli, the Silver Beauty, understands that if this is what the Black Wolves have been hiding for so long, then they are in deep trouble if they produced it in mass quantities. Suddenly, a man cosplaying John Cena comes out of nowhere, so he jumps at his target and yells out, "You can't see me." Luckily, Ara the goddess saves her right on time as she's able to dispose of him straight to the garbage can, just like the Warriors when the Lakers win 4-1. Anyways, now that the effects have begun to subside, Ara reveals to the girls that everyone has been defeated, but the Supreme Commander of the Black Ops ran away like a sissy. Regardless, Seoli is still fixated on the fact that the Black Wolves would stoop so low just so they could get their battering rams all oiled up for the first time in a while. Now speaking of someone that actually got their siege weapon oiled up once during the invasion, the Supreme Commander finds himself all alone as he makes a remark on how humiliating his defeat was. He then blames it on Ara as he never expected her to be this strong even though she's unanimously the strongest person on the planet. Nonetheless, as he laments on his defeat, he ends up finding a mighty surprise when he notices that the King's simp Karim is standing from afar, looking like he's been waiting the entire time. Karim then turns around and stares at the commander with a sussy look and proceeds to not say a single word like a true mysterious side character. The commander then breathes a sigh of relief, knowing that he can rely on the strongest swordsman of the Black Wolves to help him escape, so he orders him to release the carrier pigeon to send a message. Unfortunately for the Supreme Sussy Commander, Karim has become even more sus than him, so he starts ominously staring at him, looking like he's about to go through his anime villain arc part 2. It was at this very moment the commander knew he screwed up, so he instantly unsheaths his sword, but it's too late, as Karim decides to clap the Supreme Commander with a single swing. Now that the tables are finally turning faster than the plot and attack on Titan again, all my homies have stopped slightly hating on Karim as he deals with the last man standing himself. After destroying the last commander of the Black Ops, Karim channels his inner Naruto skills, so he starts Naruto running away from the scene, as it seems like he's become a double agent. Nevertheless, as a new dawn rises, another masked man appears and begins to investigate the fallen brethren, only for him to realize that it's actually Daemun Jongchian, the supreme commander of the First Assassins Creed Valhalla unit. It's then revealed that mysterious Sherlock Holmes is actually Herring's father, Mokbum, looking like he's leading a unit of his own. Now that Karim has helped eliminate an entire Black Thorn squad earlier, Mokbum starts to wonder if Karim is trying to reveal his true intentions after destroying the Supreme Commander. Regardless, with no time to waste, Mokbum and the boys activate their Naruto body flicker technique, allowing them to seemingly teleport to their target destination. Meanwhile, back at the Black Wolves King's castle, unease and suspicions begin to rise up in the North Wind's head. With no words yet from his special ops group, and with no new additional official reports coming through since the night, the Black Wolves King giggles as he takes the matters into his own hands. And so the North Wind smirks as he heads for battle, where he tells the captain of his palace guards that tonight will mark the day where everything will actually begin. As North Wind continues his walk forward, we discover that he's finally summoned the entire army of the Black Wolves together, so the real invasion will now commence. But before he sends the official orders to destroy the Kingdom of Girls, he takes a page out of Darth Vader's playbook and proceeds to give his army of clone lookalikes a pep talk. After telling his boys to get their Pepto-Bismol ready, he shouts for them to prepare for war as his voice booms and echoes throughout the Kingdom of Men, especially since he's looking like my boy Waluigi right now. Elsewhere, A bunch of old grandma-looking geezers from the Royal Round Table of the Crimson Foxes receive urgent news that an entire squad of Blackthorn agents have been wiped off the map, causing them to panic in disbelief. But since all of them are old as heck, they channel their inner Karens to start blaming Adoniran for what occurred, pestering the captain to do something instead of standing before them. However, she claps back by telling them that all intruders have been destroyed and dispatched of, but continues on to make the point that the Black Wolves have made it clear that this was an official declaration of war. The Queen then makes a timely appearance as she backs up her Supreme Commander, letting the old women know that she will not allow any debates as they must act quickly to deploy and secure their livelihood in times of war. And so the Queen of the Crimson Foxes officially declare war in front of her royal cabinet with no opposition as she scares every single old geezer into thinking what the Black Wolves would do if they stepped foot onto their land. With chaos now amok everyone's head in both kingdoms, one of the directors on the Royal Council sneers how wars are just a way for the Queen to reinforce her royal authority. As such, she thinks to herself that she needs to somehow make sure that this ultimate war does not happen, as she knows peace will never come during her lifetime if it does. The Queen then shyly looks around her palace as she knows she has successfully orchestrated a war by scapegoating the King's simp, exactly what the North Wind wants as well. Elsewhere, at a random female-only village within the walls of the Kingdom of Girls, life goes on as usual, due to them having no idea to what's going on at the front lines. However, our missing elite Garimbi trio have successfully snuck into the village, but all three get surprised when they eavesdrop on the girls, since all they could talk about is Herring and how mystical his Prince Behemoth must be. The boys are clearly shocked upon hearing them gossip, as they can't believe how a random rural town has heard of Herring and his escapades. Nevertheless, they start cosplaying some monsters from MapleStory, as they still need to make sure that they do not get exposed or else face being absolutely dominated by the entire kingdom during wartime. But then, out of the corner of Herring's eye, he notices a man speed through like a bullet from afar, so he tells the other two that it looks like they are in the right place. Margo then urges his comrades to not make any dumb moves, as it's better for them to continue hiding inside the hay bales so they can gather more information as to why their captain is really here. As such, the boys watch on as Karim eyes a woman with a black headband, busy doing her laundry by hanging up her clothes in the open. After finishing her first line of clothes, she ends up realizing that a man has randomly appeared before her, but she's not terrified of him. Instead of running, she slowly walks towards him as Karim stands there doing his signature do-nothing move. Upon getting a closer look at him, she instantly smiles while her eyes shimmer red from the sunshine above, looking exactly like Karim's eyes, but the first words out of her mouth is, "Hello, son." Karim then continues to look emotionless as her mother joyfully asks if he recognized her at first glance, while also busy talking about how much Karim has grown. With Karim still not saying anything, his mom continues on by claiming that he looks exactly like his father, but then she says oops, as Crimson Foxes are never allowed to reveal information about their offsprings. Eventually, Karim talks when she asks if something's wrong, so Karim mentions the fact that he's absolutely fine, but claims how it's abnormal that he's not allowed to be with his own mother. Now that Karim has finally fulfilled his lifelong mission of meeting her, the mom reveals to him the forbidden information of who his father is. To his surprise, the King's simp learns that his father was exactly like him, as he was once the first sword of the Black Wolves, where he went by the name the Black Tiger. But then for the first time, Karim actually shows some emotion as he discovers from his mom that the Black Tiger is actually Mukbum, making him half-brothers with Herring. Unfortunately, as he takes a moment to take in the realization that his own little brother stole his lifelong muse from him, he gets ganked by an army of Blackthorn members. After blinking once, more Blackthorn members appear, where Karim finds himself surrounded again by a bunch of girls, so he tells himself that he's feeling like Faker in Korea. His mom then starts to look around her surroundings, wondering why there's an entire platoon of Blackthorn members surrounding her, totally aloof to the fact that no man is allowed in, especially during times of war. At the same time, Celie enters the circle, looking like her demon horns have begun to sprout, due to what Karim has done with him baiting an entire squad. As such, Celie unleashes some wrath behind her words, where she calls out Karim's name in anger, just to tell him to be ready to perish in the most gruesome way ever. Of course, Karim is surprised at how angry Celie is, so he ends up making the best face in all of anime when his parents realize they've been watching anime recaps. Anyways, his mom gets super surprised too, as she didn't know her son has been named the infamous Karim, the #1 blacklisted man on the planet. Nevertheless, a flashback occurs showcasing what happens when a boy is born in this world, since it's common sense girls can only give birth unless a guy is having a food baby. Anyways, what happens is that a special envoy is notified that a boy has been born, so the Black Wolves come to take them away as soon as they are born. If the boys somehow make it past 4 years old, they graduate the child care institution of the Black Wolves, allowing them to finally get a real father that will one day tell them he's going to grab some milk from the groceries. And so Kareem got adopted by the commander of the palace guards for being strong AF, but his father is basically Askeladd from Vinland Saga, only for him to be more like an evil villain. As Kareem grew older, he never really talked to his dad, much as the only words that came from him was to make sure Kareem never touched his royal sword. But then one day, fake Askeladd perished in battle after trying to defend the Northwind's throne against some Chads wanting change. And so Kareem basically grew up without having any real father figure in his life, so that's why he turned to watching King anime recaps all day instead. But then as soon as he turned 18, he became part of the elite Delta Force for the Black Wolves, and unbeknownst to him, his captain at the time was his own real father. Back in the present, his mom bids farewell to him by telling him it's been nice meeting her long-lost son. But she knows he has to get going if she doesn't want her son to drop the soap behind bars. As such, Kareem unsheathes his sword ready for battle, as Era is still nowhere to be found, which means that maybe he still has a chance to escape against the elite women since he can use his dough fruit to clap them all. However, this time the girls are prepared and ready to thwart his shenanigans as Sealy is determined to avenge her best friend and fallen brethren. As such, Kareem the King Simp says goodbye to his mom as well, telling her it's time for him to go back to the sausage fest within the Black Wolves' kingdom. Meanwhile, Sealy decides to interrupt the very wholesome moment by channeling her inner Erwin Smith, so she orders her forces to charge forward and capture Kareem with any means possible. She doesn't even care if he comes back without a heart pulse. Instantly, more than a dozen Blackthorn members attack simultaneously with all their might. But before Sealy joins the battle as well, she orders his mom to go inside her home, revealing to her that a royal investigator will arrive soon as Kareem is the Black Wolves' declaration of war. Nevertheless, as the battle goes on between Kareem and the Blackthorn, he's somehow able to survive all their attacks with some plot armor on his side, but he begins to get in all over. Sealy is then forced to enter the battle frenzy as she notices a couple of the Blackthorn members begin to go down, as Kareem begins to activate his sussy bending technique to full effect. With Sealy matching Kareem's swordsmanship blow by blow, it turns out that the King Simp has not even been pushed to his full power. But then Kareem abruptly stops, as it turns out he was actually waiting for his beloved Ara to show up in battle, so he tells the girls they stand no chance against him. But his words effectively cut deep within Sealy's feelings, allowing her to get distracted, which gives time for Herring to surprise her from behind. She then swiftly attempts to send Herring to the afterlife, but she misses and fails horribly as she gets her first taste of the Prince Behemoth's powers. With the appearance and showboating of his absurd quickness, all the Blackthorn members, including Sealy, begins to gawk in disbelief that Sealy could get ganked just like that and not get caught. Even Kareem is shocked at the sight of Herring popping up, since he's probably still super salty that this dude is actually his lil bro and he already got to destroy Ara over and over. Now that Herring has popped into the battle and with the rest of the elite Garimbi joining in Summon, the girls stand no chance as Herring is basically pre-nerf chamber, as the dude can one-shot anyone and instantly disappear in thin air. Unfortunately, Sealy is still fixated on her revenge, so she reorders her squadron to attack without holding a single inch back. So now, like true brothers, they face their backs against each other, ready to dismantle and destroy everyone in their way, unless of course, Ara shows up since both of them are mega simps. However, as time passes, more and more Blackthorn members begin to drop like flies, causing the battle to slowly turn its tide against the Blackthorn as they receive no reinforcements. Eventually, both Kareem and Herring get a bit of time to breathe and recoup as they find most of the Blackthorn already on the ground, but the funny thing is that Herring is bossing everyone with just a wooden stick. Regardless, Sealy gets even more frustrated as she finally notices that Herring is clapping all of them while only using the back of his weapon, as he doesn't want to hurt any of them since they could all be part of his future rice cake gang. Speaking of which, as they get enamored by Herring's fighting skills, they forget that he's part of the enemy force, so he successfully uses his sussy jutsu to his advantage. In the end, only a few Blackthorn members is able to muster up enough strength to continue standing, but Sealy knows she needs to buy more time for reinforcements to arrive. Suddenly, the wind picks up, causing the battlefield to be full of smoke, exactly like the current Alberta and California wildfires after the Lakers and Oilers win. The girls then get confused as they have no idea where the fire could be from, but then it dawned on them that two missing Garimbi are still yet to be found. As such, Sealy orders a mass retreat as the smoke gives her bad flashbacks to what happened the other day, so now she's retreating to make sure there's nothing hidden in the smoke screen. Moments later, Wong comes barreling through on a caravan, looking exactly like a god from the Roman era as he steams towards his other elite Gorimbi members. Shortly after, Maru shows up and finally makes his appearance, whilst busy telling Herring and Karim to get on whenever they are done trolling around. With Karim and Herring instantly hopping on to make their escape, Sealy orders all Black Thorn members able to stand to start firing at the escaping Gorimbi members. However, although every single shot fired is 100% accurate, Herring is able to deflect every single arrow using his max-level agility skills to save his gang and the horse. At the same time, Wong seemingly looks like he's taken a portal to learn from Madara, so he ends up showcasing his new skill, Fire Release Great Fire Annihilation Jutsu, success. The boys are able to get away from the army of girls, but Sealy reveals that they can't get away too far as every single road within the kingdom has been blocked off to prevent any intruders. Elsewhere, Ara and the entire 1,000-step squad makes their appearance on top of a hill, as the queen has ordered them to put an end to the elite Gorimbi once and for all. Everyone knows that the #1 squad of the Crimson Foxes can easily destroy the #1 elite Gorimbi as they have Ara, but not all know how strong Herring really is. Nonetheless, the boys continue back home with their carriage, but things are looking grim as the air surrounding them is full of uncertainty with the event of this all-out war. Maru then brings up the fact that if they do make it home back into Black Wolf's territory, will they even be welcomed back home as they were the ones that got abandoned at the Gomei site? But Karim scoffs at Maru's good point, so he replies back by saying those who are destined to live will carry on, while the rest will just perish. After Karim's such amazing profound speech, the King's simp decides to intently stare at Herring once again, still unable to believe that the blue-haired boy is actually his lil bro. This causes our boy to be a little sussy Becca as he starts feeling flustered, so he tells Karim to stop, still aloof to the fact that Karim is his big stepbro. But then the turntables turn once again as Karim finally speaks up, asking Herring if he's really willing and ready to actually fight for the throne, as he can't turn back if he pursues it. Unfortunately, right before the two brothers were able to finally have some bonding moment, Maru notices an entire squad of girls waiting patiently at the end of the road. He then proceeds to yell at everyone to hold on tight as he needs to activate some fancy evasive maneuvers as a ray of arrows start flying towards them. But Herring is able to come to the rescue again as he's able to block and deflect multiple arrows due to him temporarily borrowing his Roblox fruit skills. Now that the boys can continue living another day thanks to Herring's heroic moves, Maru realizes that his detour leads to even more soldiers waiting for them at the end of the road. Thus, the elite Gorimbi get pelted again only to be saved by Herring, as our boy is trying his hardest to survive for Ara, so they get forced off the road and into the forest to evade the blockade. Unfortunately, as they continue on traversing an uncharted territory, they end up forced off their carriage as they hit a dead end with no way for the horsey to pass through unless it somehow transforms into Pegasus. And so Karim orders the squad to roll out like the Transformers, so they could attempt to cross the behemoth of a mountain before them, as Maru might be able to figure out where they are using a map. However, as the group continues to venture on forward, they realize they have stumbled upon the legendary Mount Gurajim, so if they accidentally fall, they'll find themselves featured in another recap titled Reincarnated in Another World. Luckily for them, this is exactly the landmark Maru was looking for, so he claims that as long as they follow the canyon, then there's no way they would ever get lost as it will lead them towards no man's land. Shortly after, Wong pipes up to tell them to keep on moving as he doesn't like the idea of constantly stopping since it allows for the Crimson Foxes to slowly catch up to them. But as soon as Wong finished his sentence, the boys turn around as they feel a sudden burst of energy appearing behind them. And just as Wong expected, the entire 1,000-step squad caught up to them with ease, as this is in fact their home territory, so they know their way around. Without wasting much time, Ara speaks up and tells the boys they only have two choices, either quietly give up or else face the consequence of death. Surprisingly, Karim claps back for the first time ever against Ara by telling her if she had the ability to do so, they would have already sent them to their demise. As such, right before our eyes, the King's simp has actually transformed into the very rare and unique Sigma male. So he whips out his sword and proceeds to tell the girls to bring it. Herring and Maru instantly get surprised as they don't really want to fight like savages against the very same people they just rice cake smashed literally a day ago. But it's okay, since you guys know what they always say, make war not love, as the Crimson Foxes must be super desperate to break the rule of the Gomage stating that participants must be sidelined during Gomage Day. Nonetheless, the epic final battle between the Crimson Fox #1 and the Black Wolves #1 is about to begin. Now the first to draw her sword on the elite girl's side is none other than Ara, but she seems more happy than usual as she has finally made contact with the Prince Behemoth again. Regardless, she looks super intent on destroying everything in her path like a true goddess of war. Even her boy is a little bit anxious as he doesn't want to hurt anyone, including Princess Peach, as he wants those rice cakes for later. However, things get even more intense, just like camping, as every other person follows suit by unsheathing their weapons ready for the first charge. Mere seconds after drawing their swords, Herring gets confused as he can't believe that the girls he knew before now all look like a bunch of monsters ready to go on a rampage. Nevertheless, Kareem the Chad orders the boys to make sure they force the girls to surrender sooner rather than later, or else they'd have stand no chance in winning. Suddenly, right before Kareem finishes his small speech, Ara wastes no time and instantly interrupts them boys with a swift charge forward, almost like she's in a hurry to grab some chicken nuggets from McDonald's. At the same time, Miss Alita Battle Angel comes flying through and makes illegal contact against Maru, even though these two were literally rice cake smashing together less than a day ago. Even Wool has to face off against a serious Mira, looking like she's ready to chop the hipster in more ways than one. With 3 out of 4 elite Garimbi members already facing off in battle, Herring is the last one left, but our girl from Hunter x Hunter looks a little peeved after revealing the fact that if they didn't declare war, Herring could be smashing some pink-looking rice cakes right now. Upon the small revelation, our boy takes a small step back as he secretly wanted those pink rice cakes himself, but now, due to the North Wind and the Black Wolves wanting all-out war, all of his wishes have just been washed away. Nevertheless, Herring looks past Hira and starts staring at Miss Blondie, where it dawns on Herring that he needs to fight both of them at once, even though he's just a rookie. Luckily for our boy, Hira tells him to calm down as they have more pride than ganking him 2 versus 1, so he doesn't have to worry about taking on 2 1000 Steps members at the same time, even though we all know he can easily take them all on. Unfortunately, just as Herring was about to partake in the battle, he notices a billion other Black Thorn members show up out of nowhere, including Silver Beauty Sealy. With Sealy arriving with her squad, she gives no warning for the boys as she orders both Black Thorn members and normal soldiers to ready their crossbows. After everyone takes aim, Hira reveals to Herring that they have already captured the Black Serang earlier, so there's no point for him to hope for backup and a saving grace, as the Black Serang is being kept in their basement. Elsewhere, at the secret location of the Kingdom of Girls' basement, we start hearing a bunch of slapping, which usually means some clapping is about to go on. However, it turns out that the sound ain't actually slapping, but it's more like a dragon whip as a bunch of girls are interrogating the Black Serang through some intense means. We then discover that the Black Serang has been deprived of his eyesight, while they also tied him down to a cross-like beam. But the weird thing is, one of the girls is tasked to taste his pepperoni pizza every couple seconds, as part of the investigation process is to make sure he feels pain by making his machine oil spill over and over. Apparently, this interrogation technique is so successful that no man in the history of the planet has ever survived more than 3 days, as every banana tree plantation got their banana flavors sipped dry like the Sahara Desert. Regardless, it's now time for the most crucial part of the interrogation phase, where the Crimson Foxes get to use their rice cakes as the ultimate weapon. As such, every guard on duty quickly runs over to see the epic reveal of the Black Serang's nether dragon, as no one has ever been graced by his weapon. The girls on duty then get excited at the prospect of being next, as it turns out they will all take turns until our boy spills the beans about the secret he's hiding. Upon discovering what's behind the Black Serang's plate legs, the girl currently in charge feels personally attacked, as all of her efforts have been futile in attempting to make the Black Serang show its fangs. So now that she has utterly failed in making sure his banana tree plantation becomes fully mature, instead of being stuck as a small seed needing some watering, she tells herself to keep calm and go through the playbook. Now, the first thing the playbook orders her to do is to make sure she uses their own secret weapon through a sussy vial full of mysterious liquids, where she places it on her armor so she could successfully apply it using body jutsu technique. Unfortunately for her, even though she's trying her best, the Black Serang does not even react a single bit from the use of the Kingdom of Girls' secret weapon, since our boy truly is a menace. With the girl continually failing to do her job, all the other guards on duty begin to gasp and gossip upon one another, where they start talking about how important the Black Serang must be to be able to withstand all the firepower being thrown at him. As the girls continue on watching the procedure, they instantly hear someone clear their throat behind them, causing all of them to realize they just got caught on the job slacking off by someone looking very important. It then turns out that the old lady is actually the head chief warden, so she orders the guards to move aside since she wants a sussy peek as well. After taking a look for herself at what's going on, the old lady looks not amused at how they haven't broken through the Black Serang yet, as she probably thinks she could have done the job better. Nevertheless, right before she goes about her business as usual, she commands them to do a better job before ordering the nearby captain to find the strongest and best 50 seed creators. But since there are hundreds of black wolves within the basement still, she tells the captain to get rid of every other wolf not found in the top 50, as it's time for them to perish. So now all these normie black wolves are screwed over even though they weren't part of the war, as they weren't even aware that an all-out war between the two kingdoms have occurred. Meanwhile, back at the Black Serang's center cell, the current girl in charge is still unable to do anything about him, so she starts thinking about the rumors about how he might not be even into girls at all. But she refuses the notion of him not being into girls. Instead, she convinces herself that the Black Serang just has a lot of pride in himself, unlike every other man she's faced off against. As such, she takes the matter into her own hands, or shall we say her own mouth, as she proceeds to continue like a relentless dog wanting some treats. A flashback then occurs back to the time when the Black Serang was still a rookie, where we learn that not a single Delta Force member was able to defeat him, even though he just recently joined. Bro was so strong and undefeated that Baek Mu even allowed for the duels to be as lopsided as 3 versus 1 against him, but the Black Serang always prevailed. Eventually, the only other person that was willing to take him on in a duel is another Delta Force rookie, who happens to be Karim the Chad. At this point in time, Karim was already dubbed the Rank 1 swordsman within the Black Wolves, even though he's been in the elite forces for less than 2 years. Anyways, long story short, this was a duel between the up-and-coming Rank 2 versus the unanimous Rank 1, leading to one of the greatest training battles of all time. In the end, the Black Serang got utterly destroyed in a few seconds, and from that very moment on, he became the greatest simp for Karim due to how strong he was. So after adding up all the pieces together, it all makes sense now that the Black Serang is actually a secret simp for Karim, which explains why he keeps risking his life for him. Anyways, back to the present, the head guard finally feels a little bit of relief after the banana tree plantation has grown, but unbeknownst to her, the reason why it became a foot long is because the Black Serang started thinking about his past with Karim. With the Black Serang finally showing off some of its ferocious fangs, the captain orders for the rest of the guards to instantly get ready for battle, as they are about to fast past each other through the line. Now, instead of just one person handling the Black Serang, 3 more showed up to help, as they planned to go in groups of 4 to bring the Black Serang to his knees. Since the Black Serang is the most formidable opponent they have ever faced, they plan to force a reaction out of him using the training they've been training their entire lives for. So one mounts the wheel while the rest attack every weak point. With the all-out attack proceeding forward, even a captain gets flustered at the sight of a fang fully evolved, but the one mounting the wolf begins to erupt in glee. The girls then describe him as a super magnet for their catacombs, where they can't stop moving once the magnet is in place, due to its enormous gravitational pull. However, due to the Black Serang being an absolute behemoth as well, the first girl loses her battle, so another one instantly takes her turn, so our boy gets 0 chance of a relief. Unfortunately for the Crimson Foxes, every girl taking their turn are the ones instantly defeated, while the Black Serang is left literally standing, as no one so far can match battering ram to their wall. As such, the frustrated captain starts yelling at other guards to get ready, as every other Crimson Fox so far has let her down, so she's hoping for the best. After a couple more foxes get sent to the battle, the girls eventually realize that the time for the Black Serang to lose is almost here, since what kind of man can withstand a relentless attack for days on end? After a couple more hours, our boy finally loses his battle, but he does so in the greatest manner ever, as he was able to explode during a switch, allowing him to successfully waste their time. The entire point was for one of them to successfully extract a seed so they can capture the future Black Serang, but they failed to do so, causing the captain to get absolutely furious to the point she starts punishing her own crew. Meanwhile, back to the battle between the Garimbi and the 1000 Step Squad, Herring finally makes his move.